In recognition of Pride Month, this episode of Revolution Report is all about the LGBTQ community. We'll be discussing legislation affecting the community, as well as non-corporate ways to celebrate Pride and uplift the queer community.
Before we get started, we wanted to let you all know that on our website, handballcourtradio.com, we now have a way to donate to the station. We fund the station with our own money, and if you appreciate our content and the work we do, we'd really appreciate any donations to help us cover our operating costs.
We completely understand that the economy is in a really dire place right now, and if you're not able to donate, we still love and appreciate you. Now, let's get to the episode.
Let's do it.
Unless you've been ignoring the news for the past couple of years, you're aware that the United States is in the midst of a culture war, and that the LGBTQ community is one of the groups at the center of that war.
The right and white Christian nationalists have been obsessed with trans people and their right to exist, attacking drag queens, and targeting the rights of the queer community. With the information overload that is the news currently, it can be difficult to keep track of everything the LGBTQ community is facing.
Yeah, there's a lot out there, so we wanted to make this task just a tiny bit easier with this episode. So we're going to start with a brief overview of legislation pertaining to the LGBTQ community around the country.
So far, in 2026, 50 anti-trans bills have passed across the country, affecting things like healthcare, education, bathroom access, and more. There are unfortunately hundreds of bills across the country in nearly every state that are targeting the queer community in a variety of ways.
Common themes include revoking funding for organizations that have DEI policies, restricting healthcare, targeting drag shows, gender in sports, restricting education, and targeting queer people supposedly in defense of women and children. But as we all know, that is just a scapegoat, and that is not true.
Absolutely. Now, that may sound like a lot, and that's because it is. The LGBT+ community is under fire, and the proposed legislation across the country reflects that.
But thankfully, it's not all bad news on the legislation front. At the time of recording, there are around 160 bills across the country that aim to make progress for the LGBTQ community. In multiple states, including Florida and Wisconsin, lawmakers have proposed bills that would remove gay or trans panic as a legal justification for violence.
Thank goodness. Lawmakers in states such as Illinois and Nebraska have introduced legislation to ban conversion therapy. And in Alaska, lawmakers are trying to expand protections against discrimination based on gender expression.
Go Nebraska, go Alaska. These bills and others like them that propose increased protections and rights for the LGBTQ community often don't get the media coverage that bills harming the community receive. We think it's very important to remember that there is good happening, and progress is being made.
Absolutely. We can use that hope to fuel our fight against the people trying to take away rights and protections for the community. Don't let yourself get tricked into thinking there's no hope. That's what the people in power want. They want you to give up and stop fighting. But don't give them what they want. Fight back.
Absolutely, Diva. And speaking of not getting tricked into inaction, let's talk about Pride. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
The first Pride marches took place in 1970 as one-year commemorations of the Stonewall riots.
Now, if you didn't know, the Stonewall riots were protests that took place outside the Stonewall Inn in New York City, protesting police violence against the queer community. So, Pride began as an anniversary of a historic protest.
And this is why Pride Month is in June. Stonewall began June 28, 1969, so the first Pride marches were also in June.
Makes sense. Now, with that information in mind, that Pride started as a commemoration of a riot against police, let's be intentional with our celebration of Pride this year. Don't let companies and corporations persuade you that Pride is about what you can buy. Pride is about resistance, visibility, and joy for the LGBTQ plus community, not what Pride-themed products you can purchase.
Ooh, speaking facts. Over the past few decades, more and more companies have hopped on the Pride merch bandwagon, wanting to profit off of the queer community during a time of celebration and community. But do these companies actually give to the communities?
Asking the real questions.
Do they do anything in their business practice to uplift and support LGBTQ plus people? Or is it only during June that they show support? Because they want to profit off of the queens. They want to profit off of the community, not actually do anything of substance.
And that's the tea. We know the Target Pride collection is a topic of discussion online every year. For those who don't know, Target releases an apparel line that is Pride-themed each year. Now, we're not trying to tell you what to do with your money this Pride, but ask yourself, is spending money at Target the best way to uplift and support the queer community?
No!
Or does it just put more money in the pockets of corporations that only care about profit?
Yes! Let's not forget that Target was incredibly quick to jump on Trump's anti-DEI policies. Intersectionality is so important when it comes to social movements because people don't just fit into tiny, isolated boxes. Intersections of identity exist and are nuanced and important parts of personal identity. And intersectional identities are necessities for solidarity amongst social movements.
So just because you aren't personally impacted by a policy doesn't mean people in your community aren't. And they may be impacted in a variety of ways due to intersections of their identity. Keep that in mind if you're buying Pride merch this June. Are the companies you're buying from harming people with their policies?
Probably. Oh. And remember that Pride isn't about capitalism, as much as companies want you to believe that sentiment. It's truly about fighting back against oppressive systems. So stand in solidarity with your community this June. The people in power, they're not on your side. I'm sorry to give you this tea. But you can build power with community members to fight for everyone's rights.
Absolutely. And a quick reminder that cops don't belong at Pride. Police brutality is what sparked Stonewall, and cops continue to target LGBT plus people and people of color, many of whom are queer, at disproportionate rates.
Yeah. Now, if buying a ton of rainbow things this June isn't the best way to celebrate Pride, then what is? What can we do? Well, we got some options for ya.
We certainly do, Sarah. First, if you want to put your money towards supporting the queer community, consider donating to LGBTQ plus organizations or mutual aid funds. Some organizations that we support are the Trans Defense Fund LA, which provides self-defense kits and training for Black and Brown trans people, the Trevor Project, which provides 24/7 crisis support for LGBTQ plus youth, Trans Lifeline, a grassroots organization that provides trans people in crisis with direct emotional and financial support, and the Ali Forney Center, an organization that aims to protect LGBTQ plus youth from the harms of homelessness. We'll include links to all of these organizations and more on our website, handballcourtradio.com.
Yeah, we highly recommend you check them out because they are fantastic organizations that we have supported for years, even before we started the station.
Absolutely.
Another way you can celebrate this Pride is to show up to LGBTQ plus events. Attending marches, festivals, and other gatherings is a wonderful way to connect to the queer community. And it provides increased visibility for the community. As we stated earlier, Pride is about visibility for queer people. So, if you're able, turn up, show out. Let people know that the community is here, queer, and they need to get used to it. Plus, have a good time.
Absolutely, it'll be so fun.
Please drink your water.
And remember to bring sunscreen. Something else you can do is to educate yourself on the history of and challenges faced by the queer community. Understanding history and being informed on the present will help you better advocate for queer rights. We recommend watching the documentary How to Survive a Plague or listening to this station's own Rainbow Records to learn about the AIDS crisis. And if you'd like to read a book, check out A Queer History of the United States by Michael Bronski from your local library.
And another incredibly important thing you can do is to advocate for pro-LGBTQ plus policies. We'll include links on our website to multiple bill trackers so you can be informed on legislation affecting the queer community across the country. Let your representatives know that you support anti-discrimination laws and equal access to healthcare and education. We discussed some of the proposed laws across the country earlier this episode, so let's make sure that pro-LGBTQ plus policies outweigh the hateful and restrictive ones.
You're so correct. Let's do it. Don't get us wrong. Feel free to party and have a good time this Pride. Queer joy and visibility is absolutely vital, especially at a time like this. But as you're partying and celebrating, keep in mind the original spirit of Pride. Honor what the people who came before us fought for, and be mindful while you buy Pride merch.
And remember to support the LGBTQ plus community all year long, not just in June. Looking at you, corporations. Don't be like the corporations with their performative allyship and rainbow washing. That's here and then gone again once June is passed.
T. All of the ways to celebrate Pride we outlined are things you can do at any time, not just in June. So make sure your support and advocacy are consistent throughout the year.
Absolutely. And one thing before we go,
Happy Pride! That's about it for this episode. We hope it was informative.
As always, you can check out our website, handballcourtradio.com. There, if you appreciate the work we do, you can donate to help us cover our operating costs. Also, you can follow us on Blue Sky at Handball Court Radio, and you can follow me there at Sarah Livings-Walsh.
I'm there as Not Like Mona Lisa. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review, and follow us. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'd love it if you like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss our content.
And with that, I'm Sarah Livings-Walsh.
I'm Analisa Venolia.
And this has been Revolution Report.